Imagine waking up 900 years in the future, surrounded by strange machines, bizarre customs, and people who think you're crazy. That's exactly what happens when a medieval knight and his squire get stuck in modern-day America, leading to absolute mayhem. Can they find their way back, or will the future change them forever? In 12th century England, Count Thibaut Malfite is on his way to the king's castle with his family and his loyal servant, André Lepate. As a noble knight, he follows his family's creed. Courage is not just a duty, but a way of life. He is set to marry Princess Rosalind, but the Earl of Warwick is not happy about it. Wanting Rosalind for himself, the Earl hires a witch to get rid of Thibaut. Her plan is simple: give Rosalind a potion that will make her see Thibaut as a monster and drive her to kill him. Upon arriving at the castle, Thibaut meets Rosalind, who gives him a locket with a lock of her hair as a token of her love. Later, at the wedding banquet, the witch secretly slips the potion into Rosalind's drink. However, following an old tradition, Thibaut and Rosalind exchange cups before drinking. As a result, he is the one affected by the potion. His vision distorts, and everyone around him appears as monstrous creatures. In his confusion, he punches the queen and, without realizing it, stabs Rosalind. Once the effects wear off, the damage is done. Thibaut is locked away, sentenced to death for the crime. That night, André sneaks into the chamber, accompanied by a wizard disguised as a priest. The wizard explains that he cannot bring Rosalind back to life, but he can send Thibaut back in time to prevent this from happening. He prepares a potion, but Thibaut, not trusting magic so easily, makes André taste it first. Once convinced it is safe, he drinks it himself. The wizard begins his spell, and the two are sent spinning through time. Only after they disappear does the wizard realize he forgot an important ingredient. Thibaut and André wake up in the same room, but everything is different. Instead of a castle, they are in a museum exhibit in the 21st century. Confused by their surroundings, they cause panic among the visitors, with Thibaut drawing his sword, sending people running. They stumble into an elevator and try to ask a family for help, but the frightened family rushes out, leaving them inside. As the elevator descends, Thibaut and André are overwhelmed by the strange experience. Stepping into the parking lot, they mistake the cars for dragons and attack one, sending the driver fleeing in terror. Back inside, they come across a replica of a medieval church and kneel to pray, seeking answers. It is not long before museum guards find and arrest them. Their belongings are sent to Julia Malfite, the head of the museum's medieval arts department. She is stunned to see that the items are authentic, and even more surprised when she notices that Thibaut's ring bears her family's crest. When she meets them, Thibaut and André immediately assume she is Rosalind. André kneels and kisses her feet, while Thibaut, convinced of their reunion, tries to kiss her, only to be pulled away by guards. As he protests, he exclaims, "Courage is our creed." The words catch Julia's attention. It is her family's motto. She begins to suspect that Thibaut might be a long-lost relative, one believed to have been lost at sea. Since no body was ever found, she had inherited his estate. While discussing the situation with the museum director, Thibaut comes across historical posters and a calendar. It finally dawns on him that he is in the future and that Julia is his descendant. Uncertain of what to do next, Julia calls her fiancé, Hunter. He reassures her, pretending to be concerned, but in reality, he is worried that Thibaut's return will ruin their plans to sell the estate. Hunter is not with Julia for love. His real interest lies in her wealth, and he has another woman, Amber. For now, Julia and Hunter agree to let Thibaut and André stay at their home. Getting them there proves to be a challenge, as the sights and sound of the modern world overwhelm them the moment they step outside. Meanwhile, back in the past, guards are breaking down Thibaut's door, only to find him gone. But the wizard is not far behind. Finishing a corrected version of the potion, he drinks it just in time, following them into the future. Julia manages to get Thibaut and André out of the museum and leads them to Hunter's car. However, she has to convince Thibaut that André can't just run alongside the carriage. He must ride inside like a proper man. The car ride turns out to be a challenge, even though Hunter drives at a normal speed. The unfamiliar experience leaves both medieval men dizzy, and André ends up vomiting into Hunter's suitcase. When they finally arrive at Julia's house, André immediately notices the beautiful neighbor's gardener, Angelique, who seems curious about their unusual arrival. Inside, Thibaut tries to explain to Julia that he is from the past and needs to find a wizard to return. Meanwhile, André explores the kitchen, pressing every button on the appliances and even eating the dog's food. Julia, assuming they may have amnesia, decides to humor them and promises to help find a wizard. But first, they need to get cleaned up. Julia leaves in the bathroom, then steps out to argue with Hunter, who is convinced these men are either delusional or trying to scam them for money. Julia insists that Thibaut is her noble cousin, though she worries about how they will handle a fancy restaurant dinner that night. Wanting to prove Hunter wrong, she agrees to go. Meanwhile, Thibaut and Andre mistake the toilet for a fountain and start washing their faces in it. Julia finds them and quickly redirects them to the main bathroom, running the bath for them to avoid more confusion. But once she leaves, they pour every bottle they find into the tub. Andre eats toothpaste and nearly drinks from an expensive perfume bottle before Thibaut stops him. Once he finishes, Thibaut forces Andre to bathe as well, then steps into another room to examine the family tree. At that moment, Amber calls the house. Andre picks up the phone at the same time as Hunter, and without knowing who she is, shouts insults into it before blowing his horn. He then tosses the phone into the toilet. With Andre out of the way, Hunter quickly tells Amber it's not safe to talk and promises to call later. That evening, the four of them go to one of the most elegant restaurants in town. Their presence quickly attracts attention due to Thibaut's old-fashioned manners. He casually tosses food to the floor for Andre, who eagerly eats it. A waiter intervenes, insisting that Andre sit at the table. Thibaut only agrees when Julia asks him, and though Andre is pleased, he continues to steal from passing trays while displaying terrible table manners. Hunter finally stops him. In the middle of dinner, Andre says that he needs to relieve himself. Thibaut tells him to go outside. Meanwhile, Hunter brings up the estate, reminding everyone that Julia has full control over it now. Thibaut is unbothered, believing that since she is a Malfite, what is his is also hers. This reassures Hunter, who tells him they plan to sell the castle and the land. But Thibaut firmly states that no one makes decisions for Malfite and asks Julia what she wants. Realizing that Hunter has been making choices on her behalf, Julia says she needs time to think. Outside, Andre looks for a torch to light his way, fearing wolves in the dark. He yanks several lamps from the walls before a waiter stops him. After much confusion, he finally finds the restroom but mistakes the urinals for fountains. He also grabs a chlorine tablet, takes a bite, then heads to the kitchen where he steals a chicken. Stabbing it with an umbrella, he takes it to the fireplace to roast it before the staff catches him and escorts him back to the table. The restaurant charges Hunter for all the damage Andre caused. As they leave, Andre hands out pieces of the chlorine tablet, and many people take them, thinking they are mints. Julia and Thibaut quickly spit theirs out, but Hunter enjoys the taste and even takes another one. Back at the house, Thibaut and Andre see a television for the first time and assume people are trapped inside. They smash it to free them, destroying the room in the process. Julia begins to wonder if Hunter is right and if these men might truly be out of their minds. That same night, the wizard finally arrives in the future, appearing at the museum. The next morning, Thibaut wakes Julia up early, eager to start looking for the wizard. Meanwhile, Andre steps outside for fresh air and sees Angelique being mistreated by her employer. Not liking what he sees, he pulls out his knife and demands the man apologize and kiss Angelique's feet. Before things can escalate, Thibaut and Julia arrive just in time to intervene. Thibaut, noticing the shields on the man's tie, assumes he must be a noble. The neighbor finds the whole situation too strange and quickly leaves, but Thibaut believes Andre needs to be punished. Since Julia won't allow him to carry out his usual medieval methods, he decides that Andre will work for Angelique for the day while he and Julia head out. While spending time with Angelique, Andre shares the difficult conditions he lives in. She assures him that slavery is illegal in the United States and that he doesn't have to live like that. Andre then shows her a treasure he secretly took from Thibaut's medieval bedroom, which gives Angelique an idea. Meanwhile, Julia prepares for their trip to the city by sticking a special label with her phone number onto Thibaut's chest, just in case he gets lost. When a thief snatches her purse, Thibaut chases him down, throws him onto a car, and prepares to cut off his hand as punishment for stealing. Julia quickly intervenes before he can take things too far. As she distracts the growing crowd, Thibaut notices a woman wearing an outfit that resembles a witch's robe and follows her. The woman insists she is not a witch, so Thibaut continues his search through the city. He eventually stumbles upon a bar, decorated to look like an old tavern. When he introduces himself, the patrons laugh and don't take him seriously. One man mocks him by waving a cue stick in his face. Thibaut easily slices it in half with his sword, but instead of fighting, decides to buy drinks for everyone. This quickly wins over the crowd. Meanwhile, the wizard has been busy preparing for his new life in the future. He gets modern clothes, a suitcase, and a collection of games from a toy store before returning to his hotel room. Over at the museum, Julia is informed about a strange event that caused a sudden fire in one of the exhibits. While looking around, she finds a necklace that wasn't there before. Inside, she discovers a hidden message from the wizard telling them where he is staying. Hunter has also been making moves. He hires a private investigator and hands over an empty perfume bottle with Thibaut's fingerprints, wanting to verify if he is truly Julia's cousin. Just then, Julia calls him in a panic, saying she has lost Thibaut. Before he can respond, she quickly switches to another call. It's someone from the bar who found her sticker and is calling to let her know where Thibaut is. Julia rushes to the bar, where the people inside want her to drink and sing with them. But the moment she mentions the wizard, Thibaut immediately sobers up and is ready to leave. On the way out, Julia tells him that after what she saw at the museum, she's starting to believe his story. Together, they go to the hotel and meet the wizard, who assures them that the new potion will be ready by the evening. However, after they leave, the wizard tests his current mixture, causing an explosion that destroys the room. The only things left behind are his boots and his hat. Meanwhile, Angelique helps Andre experience freedom for the first time. She takes him downtown, sells a ruby from the stolen treasure, and uses the money for shopping and sightseeing. They get new clothes and enjoy good food, and Angelique convinces Andre that he deserves more in life than what his master allows him. Elsewhere in the city, Julia and Thibaut stop at a diner for a meal. Julia promises to take care of him while he adjusts to this unfamiliar time period. Thibaut calls her lion-hearted, saying she carries the courage of the family. Julia disagrees, calling herself bunny-hearted instead. To prove her wrong, Thibaut takes her outside and teaches her how to use a sword on a pile of trash. At first, she is hesitant, but after a few attempts, she starts to get the hang of it and grows more confident. Across town at a fancier restaurant, Hunter and Amber are having dinner. Amber complains about having to keep their relationship a secret, so they decide to go dancing. Coincidentally, they end up at the same bar where Angelique and Andre are partying. Andre has even started a conga line. When the two couples cross paths, Hunter panics and hurriedly tells everyone that Amber is his sister before rushing her out. In the process, Amber drops her purse, which Andre picks up. Back at home, Angelique encourages Andre to quit his servitude so they can travel the world together. But when Thibaut returns, Andre hesitates and says nothing. Disappointed, Angelique walks away, thinking she was wrong about him. Andre is now stuck, unsure of what to do. That night, as Julia gets ready for bed, she tells Hunter that Thibaut is special, which is why she has decided to give him back his estate. This news does not sit well with Hunter. Back at the hotel, the police clean up the destroyed room and gather the scattered remains of the wizard's body. Once they leave, the wizard chants a special spell and pieces himself back together. The next morning, the private investigator informs Hunter that Thibaut is not the missing cousin. Meanwhile, the wizard arrives at Julia's home and begins preparing the potion using her kitchen. Julia helps by blending the ingredients while Thibaut looks for Andre. After much hesitation, Andre finally gathers the courage to tell Thibaut that he doesn't want to go back. Thibaut is upset since he considers Andre his property, but Julia steps in and convinces him to let Andre go, telling him it would be the noble thing to do. Unable to refuse her, Thibaut agrees. Before leaving to meet Angelique, Andre gives Julia Amber's purse, which makes her suspicious since she knows Hunter doesn't have a sister. At that moment, Hunter arrives and Thibaut is ready to punish him for insulting Julia's honor. But Julia insists on handling this herself. When Hunter accuses Thibaut of only wanting money, Julia turns the accusation back on him and ends their relationship, removing her ring. He tries to belittle her, saying she's weak without him, but Julia, now more confident, refuses to believe his words. She tells him she has always been strong and smart, and to prove it, she takes Thibaut's sword and declares, "Courage is my creed," before striking Hunter where it hurts and throwing him out. With the potion finally ready, they pour it into a bottle and prepare to leave. However, Hunter has already called the police on Thibaut. To avoid getting caught, the group sneaks out through the back door and hails a taxi. When the police start chasing them, the cab driver hesitates, but Julia pays him extra and promises to tell the judge he was just a hostage. The driver agrees and speeds off, but traffic soon brings them to a halt. With no other option, they jump out and take two police horses riding through the city. They even board a train on horseback before finally making it to their destination. At the medieval exhibition, Thibaut takes a moment before leaving. He tells Julia he is proud of her and gives her a locket containing a strand of her great-grandmother's hair. In return, she gives him a hair grip as a gift for the princess. Just as the police arrive, the potion takes effect and Thibaut and the wizard vanish, returning to their own time. Back in the medieval era, everything is frozen as it was before they left. Thibaut resumes the banquet by kissing the princess. When it's time for the toast, he offers his cup to the Earl as a gesture of peace. The Earl, not wanting to be caught, immediately flees and jumps out of the window. Later, as Thibaut and Rosalind take a walk, he gives her the hair grip as a wedding gift, and they share a kiss. Meanwhile, in the present, Hunter finds the blender the wizard used. Thinking it's just a leftover milkshake, he drinks the remaining potion and reads the enchantment, assuming it's just a note. Before he realizes what's happening, he is transported to the past. A local guard quickly captures him, declaring he will make a fine servant, while the nearby peasants find his cell phone and react with fear. A few days later, Julia arrives at the Malfite estate, ready to take care of it. She meets the attorney handling the French interests, who is knowledgeable about her family history and quite charming. They immediately get along. Meanwhile, Andre and Angelique hit the road in their new car, heading off to enjoy their next adventure in Las Vegas. That's all for today's recap. We hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button to support us. If you want us to recap your favorite movie, leave a comment below. Until next time, take care.